Welcome to QuickSpeak, the English podcast that helps you learn English effortlessly. Today, we're talking about happiness. Happiness is a big topic, and it's something that people all over the world want.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone wants to be happy.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea of happiness. It's not just one thing, is it?
No, it's not. There are different types of happiness. We can think about happiness that comes from pleasure and enjoyment, like when you eat a delicious meal or listen to your favorite song. This is called a hedonic happiness. It's a good feeling, but it doesn't always last a long time.
So those are like little bursts of happiness, the things that make us smile in the moment.
Exactly. And then there's happiness that comes from having a purpose in life, from feeling like your life has meaning. This is called eudaimonic happiness. It's a deeper kind of happiness that can last much longer.
Okay, that makes sense. So we need both types of happiness for a good life, right? A bit of fun and enjoyment, but also a sense of purpose.
Yes, that's a great way to think about it. It's like having a balanced diet. You need different kinds of nutrients to be healthy.
I like that analogy. It's easy to understand. Now, I think this next topic is really important, especially these days. I'm talking about compassion. We hear this word a lot, but what does it really mean for our happiness?
Compassion means being kind and understanding towards others, but it also means being kind to yourself. This is called self-compassion.
So self-compassion is like being your own best friend.
Exactly. When you're kind to yourself, you can handle difficult situations better. You don't get so upset when you make a mistake.
That's something I need to work on. I'm always so hard on myself.
Many people are. But remember, everyone makes mistakes. Being kind to yourself helps you learn from those mistakes and move on.
Now, this is a question that I've always wondered about. Can you actually measure happiness? It seems like such a personal feeling.
You're right, it is very personal.
Yeah.
But there are ways to try and measure happiness. There are questionnaires and surveys that ask people about their feelings and experiences.
So you can get a kind of score for your happiness.
Yes, some tools give you a score, but remember, it's just a number. It's more important to pay attention to how you're feeling and what you can do to feel happier.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not about chasing a perfect score. It's about feeling good in your life. Now, let's move on to something that I think is really important for everyone, relationships. I think we all know that relationships are good for us, but is there science to back that up?
Yes, there is. Many studies have shown that people who have strong relationships with family and friends are happier and healthier.
So it's not just about having a lot of friends on social media. It's about having real deep connections with people.
That's right. Spending time with people you care about, talking to them, and sharing your life with them is very important for happiness. These close relationships give you support when you need it and make life more enjoyable.
Now let's talk about finding our spark in life, that thing that really motivates us. We often hear the words purpose and passion used when talking about this, but are they really the same thing?
That's a good question. They are connected, but they're not exactly the same. Your purpose is like your life's direction, your big why. It's what gives your life meaning. Passion is more about what energizes you, what you get excited about.
So purpose is like the compass, and passion is the fuel.
Yes, I like that analogy. You might have a passion for playing the guitar, for example, but your purpose might be to use your music to help others, maybe by teaching music to children.
That makes sense. Passion can change over time, but purpose is something deeper.
Exactly. When your passion and purpose are aligned, that's when you really feel fulfilled.
Now let's talk about a topic that everyone is interested in, money. Does money actually make people happier?
This is a complicated question. Of course, having enough money to meet your basic needs is important for happiness. It reduces stress and gives you security.
So having enough money to pay your bills and put food on the table is important.
Yes, that's the foundation. But research shows that once people have enough money for basic needs, having more and more money doesn't necessarily make them happier.
Really? So money isn't the key to happiness?
It's a part of the puzzle, but it's not the whole picture. There are other things that are more important for happiness, like strong relationships and a sense of purpose.
Okay, that's interesting. It seems like a lot of people believe that if they just had more money, they would be happier.
Yes, but that's often not true. There's even a word for this, the hedonic treadmill. It means that we keep chasing after things we think will make us happy, like more money or possessions, but the happiness doesn't last.
So we're always running on this treadmill, trying to get more and more, but we never really arrive at happiness.
That's the idea. It's important to focus on the things that truly bring lasting happiness, like meaningful relationships and experiences.
This next topic is something I'm a big believer in, gratitude. I've found that even on my toughest days, taking a moment to appreciate the good things in my life can really change my perspective.
Gratitude is a powerful tool for happiness. It's about noticing and appreciating the positive things in your life, both big and small.
It's like taking a moment to really see all the good things we often take for granted.
Exactly. And there are simple things you can do to cultivate gratitude. One is to keep a gratitude journal. Every day, write down a few things you're grateful for.
I heard of that. It's a simple idea, but it seems like it could make a big difference.
It can. Another thing you can do is to simply take a few minutes each day to think about the things you're grateful for. It could be anything: your family, your friends, your health, even the sunshine.
Okay, I'm going to try that. It seems like gratitude is about shifting your focus from what you don't have to what you do have.
Exactly. And that can make a big difference in your overall happiness.
Now let's talk about something that's become increasingly important in our busy modern world: work-life balance.
Work-life balance is about finding the right balance between your work and your personal life. It's about making sure that you have time for both your responsibilities and the things that bring you joy and fulfillment.
But it can be so difficult to achieve that balance, especially with all the demands of modern work culture.
It is challenging, but one important thing you can do is to set boundaries. Decide when you're going to work and when you're going to stop working.
So like turning off your work phone after a certain hour.
Exactly. It's also important to prioritize your tasks. Focus on the most important things and let go of the things that aren't as important.
That makes sense. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're trying to do too much.
It is. And remember, it's okay to say no to things. You don't have to say yes to everything.
That's a good reminder. I think a lot of people struggle with saying no.
They do. But it's important to protect your time and energy so you can focus on the things that truly matter to you.
Okay, so set boundaries, prioritize tasks, and say no to things that aren't important. That's great advice.
And remember, work-life balance is a journey, not a destination. It's about finding what works for you and making adjustments along the way.
Now let's talk about something that's a big part of our lives these days: social media.
Yeah.
Everyone is constantly connected. How does this impact our happiness?
Social media can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can help us connect with friends and family all over the world. It can also be a great way to learn new things and stay informed about current events.
So it can be a positive tool for connecting and learning.
Yes, but it can also have negative effects on our happiness. When we spend too much time on social media, we can start to compare ourselves to others and feel inadequate.
I've definitely experienced that myself. You see all these perfect pictures and perfect lives, and it's easy to start feeling bad about yourself.
It is. And social media can also create a sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. You see everyone else doing fun things and you feel like you're missing out.
So it can create anxiety and a feeling that we're not good enough.
Exactly. And it can also disrupt our sleep. The blue light from our devices can interfere with our sleep patterns.
I know I'm guilty of scrolling through my phone late at night, which makes it harder to fall asleep.
Many people do that. It's important to be mindful of how much time we spend on social media and to make sure it's not having a negative impact on our well-being.
So how can we use social media in a more positive way?
One thing you can do is to set limits on your social media use. Decide how much time you want to spend on it each day and stick to that limit.
So maybe just check it a few times a day instead of constantly scrolling.
Exactly. Another thing you can do is to curate your feed. Unfollow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself and follow accounts that inspire you or make you laugh.
So it's about being more intentional about what you're seeing on social media.
Yes. And remember, social media is just a tool. It's up to us to use it in a way that enhances our lives rather than detracts from them. It's all about being mindful and intentional with social media. We've got to be in the driver's seat, not letting it control our emotions.
That makes me think about another important aspect of happiness: living in the moment. It's easy to get caught up in worries about the future or regrets about the past.
Absolutely. That's where mindfulness comes in. It's the practice of bringing your attention to the present moment without judgment.
So instead of letting my mind race about that presentation I have next week, I should focus on what's happening right now, like the taste of my coffee or the sound of the birds outside.
Precisely. And there are simple ways to practice mindfulness throughout the day. You mentioned paying attention to your senses. You can also try mindful breathing, just focusing on the sensation of your breath going in and out.
I can see how that would be calming.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the pause button on all those racing thoughts.
Exactly. Even a few minutes of mindful breathing can help you feel more centered and peaceful. And you can practice mindfulness while doing everyday activities too.
Like washing the dishes or walking the dog.
Yes. Instead of letting your mind wander, pay attention to the sensations of the activity, the feel of the warm water on your hands, the rhythm of your steps, the sights and sounds around you.
It's like turning those everyday chores into mini meditation sessions.
In a way, it is. And the more you practice mindfulness, the easier it becomes to bring your attention back to the present moment whenever you need to.
Okay, I'm definitely going to try that. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about physical health. I think we all know that exercise and a healthy diet are good for our bodies, but how do they impact our happiness?
There's a powerful connection between our physical well-being and our mental and emotional state. When we take care of our bodies, we feel better overall.
It's like our body and mind are working together as a team.
That's a great way to put it. Exercise, for example, releases endorphins. These are chemicals in our brain that act as natural mood boosters.
So that's why I always feel so good after a workout.
Exactly. Regular exercise can also help reduce stress, improve sleep, and increase energy levels. All of these things contribute to a greater sense of well-being.
And what about diet? What role does nutrition play in happiness?
Well, the food we eat provides the fuel for our bodies and minds. When we nourish ourselves with healthy foods, we give ourselves the best chance to feel our best.
So it's not just about looking good. It's about feeling good from the inside out.
Precisely. A balanced diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins can help improve our mood, focus, and energy levels.
It's like giving our brain the right kind of fuel to function at its best.
Exactly. And let's not forget about sleep. Getting enough sleep is crucial for both our physical and mental health.
I know, I'm definitely not my best self when I'm sleep deprived.
None of us are. When we don't get enough sleep, we're more likely to feel irritable, stressed, and anxious. Our concentration suffers, and we're more prone to making mistakes.
So it's like sleep is the reset button for our body and mind.
That's a good way to think about it. When we get enough sleep, we wake up feeling refreshed and energized, ready to tackle the day.
Okay, so taking care of our physical health is essential for happiness. Now, I want to touch on a topic that can be difficult to talk about: failure. We all experience setbacks in life, but how can we deal with failure in a way that doesn't crush our happiness?
That's a great question. The first step is to reframe our perspective on failure. Instead of seeing it as a sign of weakness or inadequacy, we can choose to view it as an opportunity for learning and growth.
So it's not about avoiding failure altogether, but about learning how to bounce back from it.
Exactly. Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of being human.
Yeah.
The key is to not let those mistakes define us. Instead, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this setback to grow and improve?
So it's about developing resilience, the ability to bounce back from challenges.
Precisely. And resilience is like a muscle that gets stronger with practice. The more we face and overcome challenges, the better equipped we become to handle whatever life throws our way.
Now, I want to talk about something that I think is really powerful for boosting happiness.
Yeah.
Giving back. I've always found that helping others makes me feel good.
There's a reason for that. Studies have shown that altruism, or acting in a way that benefits others, has a positive impact on our own well-being.
So it's like a win-win situation. We help others, and we feel good doing it.
Exactly. When we give back to our community or simply do something kind for someone else, it releases endorphins in our brain, giving us a mood boost.
It's like a natural high from being kind.
You could say that. And giving back also connects us to something larger than ourselves, which can bring a sense of purpose and meaning to our lives.
Okay, so giving back is good for both the giver and the receiver. Now, I want to touch on something that I think can be a trap for many people, especially in today's world: setting unrealistic expectations.
That's a great point. We're bombarded with images of perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that happiness is about achieving some kind of ideal state.
So we set ourselves up for disappointment because we're chasing after something that doesn't really exist.
Exactly. It's important to remember that happiness is not about perfection. It's about finding joy and contentment in the midst of our perfectly imperfect lives.
So it's about embracing the good and the bad, the ups and the downs.
Yes. And it's about focusing on progress, not perfection. We're all on a journey, and it's important to celebrate our small victories along the way.
And let's talk about something that I think is incredibly powerful: our mindset. I truly believe that our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality.
I agree with you. Our mindset, or the way we view the world and ourselves, has a profound impact on our happiness.
It sounds like our mindset plays a huge role in our overall happiness. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react to it.
That's a really important point, and it leads us to another key ingredient of happiness: purpose. When we feel like our lives have meaning, like we're contributing to something bigger than ourselves, it brings a sense of deep satisfaction.
I think a lot of people struggle with finding their purpose. It can feel like this big, overwhelming question.
It can, but finding your purpose doesn't have to be this grand, dramatic event. It's
Right.
often about connecting with your values, what's truly important to you.
So if someone values helping others, their purpose might involve volunteering or working in a field where they can make a difference.
Exactly. And your purpose can evolve over time. It's not something that's set in stone. As you grow and learn, your passions and priorities may shift, and that's okay.
So it's about being open to new experiences and exploring different paths.
Yes. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try new things, volunteer for different causes, take classes that interest you. You never know what might spark a passion or reveal a new direction for your life.
That's encouraging. It takes the pressure off having to figure it all out right now.
Right. The journey itself can be part of the purpose. Now, I want to talk about something that often holds people back from happiness.
Fear. Fear can be so powerful. It can stop us from pursuing our dreams, taking risks, or even just trying new things.
It can be paralyzing, but here's the thing about fear. It often stems from our thoughts, not reality.
So the things we're afraid of might not even happen.
Exactly. We might imagine the worst case scenario and let that fear dictate our actions. But if we challenge those fears and ask ourselves, what's the evidence for this fear? What's the most likely outcome? We often realize that our fears are exaggerated.
So it's about taking a step back and looking at the situation more objectively.
Yes. And remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite the fear.
That's a great point. It's about taking that leap of faith, even if we're feeling scared.
Now, before we wrap up our conversation about happiness, I want to touch on the importance of forgiveness.
Forgiveness can be really difficult, especially if someone has hurt us deeply.
It can be. But holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run. It keeps us trapped in the past, prevents us from moving forward, and can even impact our physical health.
So forgiveness is really about letting go for our own benefit.
In a way, yes. It doesn't mean condoning the other person's actions or forgetting what happened. It's about releasing the negative emotions that are weighing us down.
It's like freeing ourselves from that burden.
Exactly. And forgiveness can take time. It's a process. Be patient with yourself. And remember that it's okay to seek support from a therapist or counselor if you're struggling.
Now I want to end our conversation on a positive note. What's something that brings you joy and a sense of fulfillment?
For me, it's creativity. Whether it's writing, painting, or simply coming up with new ideas, expressing myself creatively brings me a deep sense of satisfaction.
I love that. Creativity is such a powerful way to connect with ourselves and the world around us.
And it doesn't have to be about creating a masterpiece. It's about the process of exploring, experimenting, and expressing yourself authentically.
So it's about finding joy in the act of creating itself, not just the end result.
Exactly. And I think that's a great metaphor for happiness in general. It's not about reaching some final destination. It's about enjoying the journey, embracing the ups and downs, and finding those moments of joy and meaning along the way.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like I have a better understanding of what happiness really is and how to cultivate it in my own life.
I'm glad to hear that. Remember, happiness is a choice, and it's something we can work towards every single day.
So to wrap up, what are some key takeaways our listeners can put into practice?
Practice gratitude. Be mindful of the present moment. Take care of your physical health. Nurture your relationships. Embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, and find your purpose.
Those are great reminders. And don't forget to be kind to yourself along the way.
Absolutely. You are worthy of happiness.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of happiness. I hope this has given our listeners a lot to think about and maybe even inspired them to make some positive changes in their own lives. Remember, happiness is a journey, not a destination, and it's something we can all strive for every single day. And that's it for today's episode of QuickSpeak English. I hope you enjoyed our discussion about happiness. If you did, please subscribe to our podcast and visit our website for more useful content like vocabulary lists from today's episode. Until next time, happy learning, and remember, keep speaking English.